Anakin's anger is a wildfire. Destructive, spreading, consuming everything in its path. And it destroys everything. His job, his social standing, all of his relationships, except for the most toxic one. Vader's anger is a laser. Focused, precise, lethal. Same emotion, opposite results. Anakin loses while Vader wins repeatedly. So what's the difference? Most anger traces back to one source. Fear of losing control. You're out of options. You can't change the outcome. You're powerless to get what you want. And that powerlessness, especially for someone as capable as Anakin, is unbearable. Today, we explored the difference between the anger of these two characters in one, and at the end, how you can make sure the gas stays in the tank, moving you forward instead of exploding all over your life. We have to start by admitting a hard truth. Anger works, at least at first. If it didn't, nobody would use it. When Anakin uses anger with the Tusken Raiders or with Count Dooku, he gets immediate results. The obstacle is removed, he wins. Psychologically, this is the unstoppable phase. For a former slave like Anakin, rage feels like freedom. It feels like breaking chains. When you tap into aggression, your fear evaporates. You feel a surge of dopamine and adrenaline that convinces you you are finally in control. This is the trap. The feeling of power is real, the high is real, the dopamine surge is real, but it's borrowed energy. You're stealing from your future self. Anakin doesn't see the cost because he's riding the wave. He hasn't mastered the emotion, he's just unleashed it. There is a massive difference between control and chaos wearing a mask of control, and it doesn't take long for that chaos to leak. With all this anger, Anakin stops being strategic. He starts reacting to everything. A look from Obi-Wan, a comment from the Council, a dream about Padme. Every stimulus gets a maximum intensity response. In psychology, this is called dysregulation, the ability to manage your emotional responses. Your reactions become intense, prolonged, and disproportionate. When Anakin throws a tantrum, he is leaking. It's messy and visible. He is broadcasting his lack of impulse control to everyone in the room. That visibility costs him. His credibility drops. His power diminishes, which then triggers more anger, which triggers more outbursts. It's a spiral, and at the bottom of that spiral is tunnel vision. The moment you think you're focused, you're actually about to lose everything. It's in this symbolic setting that Anakin's rage narrows his worldview down to a single point, killing Obi-Wan. He convinced himself that this is his next best move. Because he's so focused on that goal, he loses situational awareness. He forgets his positioning. He forgets strategy. Uncontrolled anger makes you predictable. But Obi-Wan doesn't want to predict or beat Anakin. He wants him to see reason. He tells Anakin outright, I have the high ground. He can't win. But Anakin's anger has blinded him. He doesn't hear a friend trying to save him. He only hears an enemy's deception. If you find yourself making decisions faster than you can think, or you're sacrificing long-term alliances for short-term emotional release, you are losing. Anakin burned his bridges long before he burned his body. But this doesn't happen in a vacuum. How do we even get to this terrible and violent place? Anakin's volatility creates a massive vulnerability. He could be manipulated. The tragedy of Anakin is that he gave away his agency. By trusting Palpatine, he thought he was gaining the power to save Padme. In reality, he was outsourcing his will. Palpatine plays him perfectly. He knows that an angry man stops thinking critically. The true test is when he sent Anakin to the Jedi Temple. This is an action Anakin thought would get him closer to saving Padme, but instead, he does something he can never come back from. This is the danger of fear turned anger. It blinds you to the strings attached to you. When you are consumed by rage or desperation, you're very easy to steer. Anyone who can trigger your anger owns you. Anakin thinks he's on the path to getting what he wants, but he is simply trading one master for another, moving from the dogmatic constraints of the Jedi to the manipulative grip of the Sith. So far, this sounds like a cautionary tale, and it is, but here's where it gets interesting. Vader takes the exact same anger that destroyed Anakin and uses it to build an empire. The difference isn't the emotion, it's what happens next. Anakin's transformation is complete when he puts on the armor. This is when he becomes Darth Vader. It has a cool design, but within the lore, it's actually a torture chamber. Painful cybernetics, synthetic skin that itches, and that iconic breathing, though sounds cool, actually isolates him. He is in constant agonizing physical pain. But this prison is exactly what saves him. Because he is physically restricted, he can no longer flail. He can no longer hop around impulsively. The suit forces him to slow down. Since the energy can't leak out anymore, it's forced inward. It builds pressure, and the suit teaches him the most valuable lesson of power: Constraint. By limiting his physical expression, the suit maximizes his psychological impact. He learns to sit with the pain, to exist with the discomfort without trying to escape it. There's actually a term for this. Sublimation, originally coined by Freud, is the defense mechanism where you transform socially unacceptable impulses into productive actions. Vader doesn't let go of his anger. He doesn't meditate it away. He keeps it. He feeds on it. He lives inside it. But then he channels every ounce of that energy into one thing, the execution of his will. This is intent, not reaction. That's sublimation in action. He doesn't burn the forest down anymore. He uses the fire like a laser. So what's the takeaway for us? The path to power is to feel the rage intensely, but display none of it. The goal is to channel it. Use that high pressure energy to drive your own work, sharpen your strategy, and outlast your competition. Become the stoic executioner. Let the fire burn inside the furnace where it generates power, not on the roof where it burns the house down. That's how you keep the gas in the tank, moving you forward, not blowing up your life. Thanks for watching.